Hi, it's Kevin May, the Editor-in-Chief of PhocusWire. Hi. Hi, Anita Ngai, you're the Chief Revenue Officer of Klook.
Right.
So, let's be honest here. A couple of years ago, most people in Europe and North America, or Europe where I'm from, hadn't even really had Klook on their radar at all. And you've gone from a couple of years to being the most heavily funded tours and activities company of all time.
Yes.
That's quite a journey, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
So let's start really about the funding. So
Sure.
we've had a couple of big rounds.
Yeah.
And you're now, like I said, it's just short of 300 million, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So what's the strategy around raising so much money? Because a lot of people say, is it just to give you marketing cash? Is that essentially what it's for?
My role at Klook, one of the things I do here is marketing, so I'm happy to hear that, the market thinks that I'm going to put a lot of money in marketing. Obviously, some of that funding will go into marketing for sure.
Right.
We have plans. We are currently already starting to do some initial marketing in Europe and in the US.
Okay.
But no, marketing is not the only place we're spending it. Certainly in terms of working with suppliers, the efforts that we have to put in to actually work with them, and the technology that supports us in terms of making sure that experience is also very pleasant for the operators to be working with us.
Right.
And then further on the technology point, obviously in terms of still for our consumers, how do we improve that? So the funding is kind of going into a few big buckets for sure.
But you hope that some of it comes your way.
I know, that's what I'm hoping as well.
That's good. So,
Yeah.
we just referenced that you were very much an Asia Pacific focused company, and then you come on the radar, and clearly you're interested in the rest of the world now.
Yes,
so
for
how
sure.
how do you approach that? Is it from a region by region basis, or is it a country by country basis, or even city by city?
Yeah. I think, we started in 2014. To your earlier point, a couple years ago, no one has really even heard of us. So at that point, we were only about 2 years old. And actually, we started in September 2014, so this is kind of our 4th year.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, anniversary right now. And we first really kind of just looked at Asia as a whole. And we kind of looked at that and said, we'll start in Asia, and then we broke it down to market by market and then city by city. But it made a lot of sense for us to look at it from a region point of view, because if you look at the numbers, if you look at travelers' patterns, they do. There's a lot more people traveling intra-Asia, and there's a lot more people traveling intra-Europe, so it makes sense for us to have that kind of focus. But once you kind of have that strategy, then immediately you have to go very local. And we're very happy that, we've taken a very kind of localized strategy. We have teams in almost all the markets that we work in Asia, and we really give a lot of sort of decision power almost to our local teams, because they know the local behaviors the best.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's clearly extraordinary growth, within China, and then within India, and then intra those different kind of countries within Southeast Asia. You probably could have stayed just doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to a company that has still got lots of room for growth in one region to suddenly say, okay, let's tackle Europe as well?
Yeah. Well, we definitely don't want to say we're done in Asia. We're far from.
No.
There's still so
I
much.
didn't expect you would, but that's quite a story if you say that.
Yeah. And there's still so much opportunities, like you said, in Asia, and we can focus on that for many years as well. But if I actually take the lens of an operator, a supplier, they are very happy when they tell us after working with us that they start to get users, travelers, taking their tours or their activities from 10 countries, 20 countries. And now we can say, actually, we on our platform have travelers from over 80 countries. And that's something from a supplier operator's point of view, they'd be very excited to hear that. And that's what we want to deliver to them as well.
Okay, what do you think of, a lot's being made this week of what Google is starting to do.
Yes.
As we've been saying to many people, Google's always been in the industry. You just gave it lots of money for advertising, but now it's going into the industry in a different kind of way. What's the view of that kind of emergence if they're taking it very seriously?
Google's always been doing that kind of activity. Obviously, we work with them as an advertiser as well, but they also let us know or inform us if there are other kind of plans. I mean, we keep a close eye, and sometimes we have discussions with them about what is it that they're actually thinking about. We try to see, how we can be collaborative, but at the same time, obviously maintain our position. So
that's a tough one, right?
It is a tough one. I have to say, there's no kind of perfect thin line to walk between the two sides, but at the same time, I guess if anything, I have some comfort knowing that we're definitely not the only one having to walk that thin line, and number two, certainly tours and activities not the only space having to deal with
so
that.
You're all in it together, right?
Yes, we're all in it together.
Okay, and another name that's been talked about a lot here is Airbnb.
Right.
I mean, there was an interesting talk earlier today.
Yes.
So, and they've grown quite quickly in 2 years as well.
Sure.
So,
for sure.
I mean, how does that market shape out in Asia Pacific? Because Airbnb is trying to make very specific moves in China and things like that.
Yeah.
So how does the host running experiences thing work out there?
Yeah. Well, at a high level, I wouldn't say from what I've experienced, and I have certainly taken some of those experiences before, that they work too differently from the rest of the world. It is still very much done by the host. It's still very much what we would call point-to-point, P2P. Much more kind of individuals, hosts offering those experiences. So that's quite a different kind of proposition from what we do.
But is that something that you would do?
Yeah.
As a result of Airbnb's popularity with that type of peer-to-peer elements, is that something that you would consider making an effort with?
Yeah. No, I mean, we would never, say absolutely no. You can never say never. But we would have to think about a few more elements in there. One, definitely, how do we actually scale things up? If we do have an activity that becomes very popular, would the host, would the individual be able to offer more of that, whatever tour or activity it is? And actually, second of all, there's also a big process that we internally go through when we work with operators, which is we have to make sure that all the safety and all those elements are in there as well. So that's something that we would need to put it into consideration as well. If we think about that.
It's interesting to talk about insurance and regulations and things like that.
Exactly.
Right. So Anita Ngai, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.